How's it going, YouTube? I have some new Small World tech for you in Swordsoul. I recently came across a video. I believe it's from Zephyr War Games. I'd have to double check that. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. He's where I found it. Also came on Yugioh, a lot of inspiration from their profiles for this. And Small World is actually cracked in Swordsoul, and I'll try and go over really quick on how it works. But basically what you have to do is when you use Small World, you show a monster in your hand, and then you go into your deck and you bridge a monster with that one with exactly one thing in common. One of those things being either its type, attribute, level, attack, or defense. Only one can be in common. And then you do that again, so you go from your monster in your hand to a monster in the deck, and then that monster in the deck to another monster in the deck. And the third one you add to your hand. It's super simple once you get it figured out. You'll know your lines, and then generally you know what monsters work with what other monsters. And I'll quickly run through that. But considering Swordsoul runs so many different types of monsters and attributes and stuff like that, Small World is actually cracked. You can search virtually anything. And it kind of opens up your deck for a little bit more diversity, I'll say. So like if you wanted, for example, I run a kaiju in this because I can literally search a kaiju. I only need to run one because I run, you'd run probably at least 2, maybe 3 Small Worlds. That gives you essentially 4 kaijus because you can almost always get to it. So it's absolutely insane. And the best thing about Small World is you could, let's say, use an emergence first. Let's say the monster of a board, use emergence first to bait like a negate or an ash. And then if they have like a towers or whatever, then you use Small World, and people probably don't really expect you to be searching a kaiju in Swordsoul with Small World. So it's kind of actually insane in Swordsoul, and I'll run through a quick few links for you to give you a good idea. Your absolute best links in this deck are going to be Ashuna, Apple Dragon, and I would say the absolute best is not currently in my hand. Let me quickly find where she is. Yugioh. So these 3 here are probably your single best links, and I'll just do the quick ones right now. So let's say you have Small World and Ashuna in your hand. So you use Small World, show Ashuna. Then you go into your deck and you find a link. So let's say you want to add Apple Dragon to extend your plays in Swordsoul, because it absolutely does extend your plays. It makes you far more dangerous, and like let's say more dangerous board. You link into Yugioh because it has exactly one thing in common with Ashuna, being its attribute. Its level is different, its type is different, its attack and defense are different. And then you link the Yugioh into the Apple Dragon because guess what? One thing in common, that being your attribute. Level's different, type's different, attack and defenses are different. So then at the end of the chain, or at resolution, these would be banished, and you would add the Apple Dragon to your hand. I mean, that works in literally any direction. So let's say you have Yugioh in your hand. You link into Ashuna. Ashuna can get you into Ringworm. Like, these 3 all share one thing in common, and one thing only. So it doesn't matter what direction you go. You can go that way. You can go here. So if you need a starter, you can get a starter. If you need a light, if you need a Ashuna, you can grab him. If you need Ringworm, you can grab him. Wild. All right, let's get into some weirder ones because I really want to show you some of these crazier ones. And I'll show you, I'll do some test hands at the end. I like Ashuna, we'll use Ashuna. So let's say we have Ashuna in our hand. We want to get into a kaiju. Well, an easy way to get into a kaiju is to link Yugioh. Then you go to your Thunder King, the Lightning Strike Kaiju. Because, guess what? Only attribute in common. And you can do that same thing with the Ringworm I just showed you. And again, vice versa. All these are interchangeable. I run 2, 3, 2. That gives you 7 possibilities. So that's 8. Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, so that gives you a lot of opportunities to get into your kaiju just off of these. Let's see if I can do it off of another monster. Let's see here. What can I use? Let's see if we have a Moyi. Can I get into it? I already know I can, because guess what? Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous shares one thing in common with Moyi, and one thing in common with the Kaiju. So you can get it off of your Moyi. What else we got? We want to get into the Kaiju. Let's see what else we have in the chain. Let's see if I can do it from Adhara. I don't know. This one's going to be tough. Actually, it's not going to be tough at all now that I look at it. Yeah, that works. You can go Adhara Ashuna to the Kaiju because, yeah, again, they all only share one thing in common. This being Worm, this being Attribute. That easy. Let's see. Well, let's do another one. What else we got? Effect Veiler. Can we do it with Effect Veiler? I bet you I can. If I use Apple Dragon, different level, same attribute, different type, different attack and defense. Yeah, that works. Ecclesia does not, if you'll notice, does not work because it shares attribute and it shares type. So that does not work. All right. And obviously the same going the opposite direction. If you want to get rid of your Kaiju and you wanted a starter, you would do this just the opposite of what I was telling you. All right, let's do some weirder ones. All right, let's say you have an Ash Blossom that you don't need and you want to get to a starter. I'm doing this on the fly here. I honestly don't know what I can use. So I know it has 0 attack, which is odd. I know it has 1800 defense, which I think Moyi has. So let's see what we can do with Moyi. All right, Moyi, 1800 defense. Shares nothing else in common. You know what Moyi can get you into? Ecclesia. Get you into Ecclesia. It can get you into... Basically, you're going to be able to go into a Worm. So Moyi goes into Ashuna. So they share Worm and nothing else. Moyi gets you into Long Yuan, I want to say. Yeah, gets you a Long Yuan. And actually, now that I think about it, you can do the opposite. They share fire and nothing else. So you can get into your Moyi this way. So Ash Blossom get you into Long Yuan to get you into a Moyi. So you can get a starter up just like that. And there's so many different ways of doing it. It's just absolutely insane. Let's say you have Adhara in your hand. What can you get into that way? Let's see. So 0/0, it's a Worm. So yeah, that gets you into Ashuna. We already know Ashuna gets into virtually everything we could ever want. So Moyi, for example, they're both Worms. Gets you started right there. Same thing with Long Yuan. They're both Worms. Share nothing else in common. That's a 6. That's a 7. Attack defenses are different. Get you into a Taya. Different attack and defense. Worms. So yeah, gets you into a Taya. All right, what else we got? Any other weird things in here we got? Let's see what Effect Veiler can get us. Effect Veiler is a light spellcaster with 0 attack, 0 defense, and it's level 1. My first thing that comes to mind is the attack and defense. What do I know that has 0 attack? Okay, so I could do something with Blossom. So I could grab a Long Yuan with that. Let's see. Nope, can't do that. You can go into Ashuna. Again, Ashuna is going to be one of your best links. So light, different level, different type, attack, defense, different. So really your best links in Swordsoul are these ones. So Apple Dragon, Ashuna, and Ecclesia. Those are your best bridges because, I mean, the attribute is often going to be... So out of archetype types, usually it's going to be attribute. Sometimes it's attack and defense. But like if we're talking about Tenyis and Swordsoul, usually it's the Worm that's in common. But these are probably going to be your 3 best links. So like, for example, if you just remember that those are your best links, if you had an extra Moyi, let's say, just an extra one, like you wanted to get an Apple Dragon and you had an extra Moyi, and you just had a small world in your hand, obviously you got Ashuna. Everything's different besides Worm, and then you have Apple Dragon right there. Or you have Ecclesia. I don't know why you do that, but you can. You could do I mean, you can literally go in any direction because all of these have something in common. They all have something in common. The one that doesn't, these two do not work, because you'll notice they have nothing in common, nothing at all. So you have to do it right. So level 4, Worm. And then that gets you into your whatever you want over here. What else can I do? What else do I even run? Like, let's say you want to get into Droll. Let's do this backwards. Okay, we know Droll is 0/0. He's a spellcaster. Level 1. I already know what works. Spellcaster. 1500, 4 light. So we know how to get to Ecclesia, right? Let's say we have a Shuna in our hand. We know a Shuna can get to Ecclesia. We know Mo Yi can get to Ecclesia. We know Apple Dragon can get to Ecclesia. So right there, just those. There's probably more. I know there's more in this deck, actually. I know the Kaiju can do this. Yeah, the Kaiju can do that. So yeah, there's so many options. You can search Droll. You can search Ash. You can search Effect Veiler. If you just kind of know how your lines work. I mean, you don't even need to know your lines. If you have one of your really good bridges, if you have any of these, you can pretty much be rest assured that if you use Small World, you can get something useful out of your deck. Like, almost 100% of the time. Really, it just depends on what you want. Like, the ones you really search, probably are going to search often, are going to be starters, Apple Dragon, or your Kaiju. Those are probably going to be what you search most often. So if you have a bad hand, let's say this is your hand. You have those 2 cards in Small World. Don't know why. Let's even do it the opposite. Let's say you want to keep Vishuna. Let's say you play Vishuda. What can Vishuda get into? So 2500, 1500. I already know. Ecclesia has 1500. You can go into Ecclesia. And then you already know what Ecclesia gets you into. It gets you into Mo Yi. It gets you into... Maybe you can get the Kaiju, you can get the Apple Dragon. You can literally get Droll. Like, it's actually freaking crazy how good Small World is in this deck. And I'm gonna leave this at that because the video is already getting a little long. I know nobody has an attention span anymore, so I want to end this just by saying, give it a try. I generally run Small World at 2 with 2 Apple Dragons and 3 Ecclesias. If you want, I can get you a in-depth deck profile of Swordsoul. I'm still waiting on a few cards, but I could do that. If you want any explanations on anything, leave them. Just leave the questions in the comments, and I can be down there answering anything I possibly can. If you found this helpful, if you liked my hopefully decent explanation of Small World, like the video, subscribe for more, and leave a comment on what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you want to see from me later. But yeah, thank you guys. Talk to you later.